Hello everyone. I'll just let it fill up a little bit before I start looking at stuff. I thought I might as well. The kids are at Brownies, and I'll get stuck into a bit of price action. It's a weird one at the moment, I have to say, because Bitcoin obviously is pulling back, potentially going to break this 1 hourly 200 exponential. The last time we touched it was, actually we haven't touched it since making this cross all the way back down here, 70,000 or so. So would be a big one. It's not just the 200 exponential, that golden cross there. It's also the 10 exponential sitting around here as well, and also the conversion line of the Ichimoku cloud. So these pullbacks on Bitcoin are pretty small. You know, if we measure it from the top to where we are right now, it's like 5%. It's less than half of what I'm looking for really from the peak. Kind of like 11% to the 21 and the 20 moving average seems fair enough. Lower than that, well, I mean, you could only hope, couldn't you? Really, it's definitely looking a little droopy at the moment. With this move, some hidden bullish divergence, nothing special. And again, if we take it to the 4 hourly, we've lost the Bollinger Band. This is kind of where we started to lose it yesterday, lost it again today. And the 50 exponential on the 4 hourly is around this $95,000 zone. So there's a fair bit of support sitting on Bitcoin right now. But obviously nobody's bothered about Bitcoin. Everybody wants to get rich immediately on altcoins, which makes me a little worried, right? That this is the exact area that it's going to happen from. You know, most of us got in from lower areas, so quite happy with all of that. But I mean, the main thing to be thinking about now, if anything, would be that there is a rotation in play. But I'm also a little skeptical of that taking place at this very moment in time, because we've got major support here on the Bitcoin dominance based on this horizontal moving average. You know, this 58.5% dominance has been a big deal for us for a while now. And we did have a significant bounce from it the last time we came down to it, so you know, and also, like, as much as this period of alt rally is good, don't really want it to happen too much at this point now. I'd rather it all go back up again and get a more significant one from up here. So, and that could easily happen. I think a lot of people are going to get very excited about the prospect of making loads of money real quick on altcoins, and it's one of those things that, like, I was telling people on the Patreon, you know, a couple of weeks back now. I was in the gym, which doesn't happen very often, but I was there, and I was just sitting down for a bit. I had a group of lads talking about altcoins. I was like, oh, this is the first time this has happened since 2021. Not heard people talk about altcoins in a while. Just, you know, overhearing, and it made me think that, you know, those guys are now getting in because they see something, which is basically green candles, which means that they feel as though, all right, you know, people don't pay attention to charts, and that's fine. Not everyone does. Why would you? But you know, there's a good chance that those guys are going to get wrecked in the short term, like. But you know, nothing's that simple, and nothing is that simple. So what I'll do is I'll have a little look at some charts now. Outside of this, which again, you know, this is the dominance chart, potentially going to have a bounce here. Could even be a bounce that takes you all the way up to here, and this could be in the form of a dump, or a pump and then a dump, or a dump and then a pump and then a dump, or we just break down and continue. Now you might think, oh, who's this bloke? He's just backing both sides. You know, there's no what's going on there. Well, you know, I've been talking about buying into altcoins for ages, absolutely ages, right? Like, we were talking about this back basically the end of the last alt season, and I was saying I think we're going to run out of steam around December last year, right? I said we got in on this alt rally, and I remember saying to everybody, I think there's going to be an alt season, and the average person, or should I say the entire internet, was like, what are you talking about? There's no alt season. And then the alt season kicked in. It was a significant one. I said, all right, I think December will peak. That was a 69% move on the total chart, where my targets were basically around these areas here. And then it had an extension, so I was in and out, in and out. Then when it became obvious that there was a peak and a consolidation kicking in, I was like, right, well, that's it for the summer. That is it. And towards the end of the summer, based on this fractal, which is what this is, this ghost bar chart, right? Basically, this is your the blue is the previous bear market, and then into the previous bull market. So I said, look, there is some very obvious similarities in here. Obviously, give or take a few weeks, but generally the directions are pretty clear. Finding lows, reasonably well. Finding peaks reasonably well. Finding consolidations reasonably well. Now this area here was a bit of an anomaly because this was the March crash. But then, more or less picked up pace again. And I was saying to everybody, look, I think, as we were consolidating anyway, I said, look, it's normal for a consolidation, as we saw sort of one around here. I think what's going to happen is that we're going to break out at some point towards the end of this year. And so to allocate, and we'll take the, just focusing on the actual chart itself, not the fractal. Says, look, this is a consolidation, clearly. This would appear to be the lows. So it would be right to accumulate within these areas, really, waiting for the breakout. And look at the size of the breakout. It's taken 4 weeks, and it doesn't matter what or where or who you bought, you're in profit now. If you'd allocated throughout the summer, mostly everybody's in profit now. And we allocated towards the end of the summer, which has always been and now we're making a load of money, or what should I say, we've made loads of money. And on all our entry points, the most important thing to say, all our entry points are so much lower than where they are right now that it's almost like you don't need to worry about them. So everybody's now saying to me, I'm getting messages every day, where can I buy this coin? Where's the low? I mean, the lows are already in a long time ago. What is the size of this chart? What's the from this to here? That's 62%. That's significant. That's like this. So it seems reasonable. Just thinking about this last alt season, and then this consolidation and what we expected to see. Seems reasonable that this is kind of where we are, and we should have a little pullback before we go back up. Now I know everything's exciting right now because everything's going up, but normally when everything's going up is the time to get out. I'm not saying get out at all. It depends when you bought them. My portfolio is bought. It's riding and it's going to continue to ride. But what are we going to do about all these other altcoins? That's the question. Where do you get back in? And it seems to be like a running thing on my channel over the last week, really, saying, look, enjoy it. It's great for us because we planned all of this. But if you want to get in on an altcoin or anything, recognize that the risk is extremely high because we've broken out massively. We've already almost exceeded the previous alt season, which took twice the amount of time from here to here. Obviously this bit doesn't count because that was just borrowed time, but I'm looking for the same sort of price action. I'm looking for a consolidation, a very small one, and then continuation up. So I think lower prices will be given to us, and Bitcoin might be the person that gives it. So, where's Bitcoin going to go down to? That's the question, because if you can assume a low on Bitcoin, then you might be able to assume a low on the market, maybe. And this, to me, seems like the most obvious place, roughly around 88, 89,000. But we were talking about the rotation, weren't we, on the Telegram only like an hour ago, and I appreciate people are new to cryptos. They don't really know what rotation is, but rotation historically has been when you've got money in Bitcoin and then you basically sell the Bitcoin directly into alts, and then that enormous liquidity just comes into something that altcoins, which generally struggle for liquidity, and that's why you get these big massive runs on alts, and it should continue to happen. The argument against it this time around is that ETFs, who've been swallowing up money, swallowing up the Bitcoin, and institutions as well, swallowing up the Bitcoins, are not going to rotate those, right? So you might not see a rotation in the same way that you did before. This was a clear rotation. Whoosh. So we started basically end of December, finished March. Let's have a look at the Bitcoin chart between December and March of that bull market. Just want to put it to you because this is what it looked like. So Bitcoin had this huge run up, massive run up until January, and then it consolidated. From what I remember, it was about 35%. That consolidated by about 35%. Contrast that to any altcoin really in that period, went up hundreds, even some went up thousands, right? So Bitcoin can do that. And so if we're going to be looking at something like that, with every pullback on Bitcoin, we buy back into alts. And that's basically the deal, right? So every time you get a big pullback and you bounce from a decent place, bounce. Altcoins will bounce harder, faster and stronger. That would be the signs of a rotation. So in that sense, it would be, I would say that Bitcoin is the indicator for entry points for altcoins, if that makes sense. Or Bitcoin's weakness will offer you exit points in the short term if you're trading. That's how we played it last time, and if it is doing something like that again, then we're probably going to be looking at that. So Bitcoin rallies up, pulls back down, bounces, it made a lower high. Altcoins did like a significant new high, and then so on and so on again. Bounce, significant new all-time highs for altcoins, and again, right until the crushing end of the alt season, which is basically when Bitcoin continued to rally back up, because all those hundreds of X's that people were making went back into Bitcoin. But we noticed that there was a bit of a problem going off around here with the money flow index being quite high, and then the bearish divergence in the short term leading to the big crush, and then another all-time high with the bearish divergence, which led to the bear market. So, yeah, it sounds simple, and if that's what we're going to look at, if that's how it's going to perform, that is basically, it probably does sound too simple, but you know, we might be looking at that right now. Yeah, that might be something that's about to happen or already happening. But remember, altcoins have rallied already significantly, and just like the total 2 showed us before, you get your first rally. This one was 70%. With some, we're up about 60%. Then you have a little bit of a pullback, and a little bit of a pullback on the total 2 can be a significant pullback on an altcoin. So it makes it, and again, I keep having to say this, it makes it very tricky to get in for people who haven't bought the lows, really. If you haven't bought the lows or accumulated low areas, then you're kind of screwed a little bit, really. And, in the short term, screwed. Entry points will be offered to you at lower zones, and those lower zones, could be anywhere. They could be anywhere, really. So we'll have a look at a few charts. So I thought I'd just make this as a quick stream, really, rather than making a video and all this, that, and the other. If you've got some questions, we can have a look at it together. Just having a quick sherry at the moment. Right. So, any questions? Vchain. Yeah, a couple of people looking for Vchain then. Let's have a look at that then, shall we? So, I'm in on Vchain. All my entry points are now lower than today's price. The entry points are probably on a different chart than this one, but you can more or less see them anyway, but I don't think I'd got as low as that. Yeah, 2.2 is the lowest. And we considered this area to be the accumulation zone. So we've blasted right off. Look at the weekly, front running that to 200 simple moving average. Massive, huge, massive beast move. Okay, massive beast move. If you're looking for a pullback on this one with an entry point that really counts, it might be the case that you have to wait for 3 cents again, really. It sounds like frustrating, but it could be the case that is what you're going to be waiting for. What is it, down 9% today? Fine, that's fine. It's done more and faster than I expected. You've also got down at this 3 cents, you've got the 21 exponential, the 20 moving average, and a fresh golden cross only just happened down here at 2.7 cents. So look, it would suggest that deeper is a realistic possibility. I was saying this at the end of the last alt season, when people kept on, because I run the Patreon. You see, I got my own Patreon. People tune in twice a week, like you are doing now, asking loads of questions about where should I buy and where should I buy, and they were asking me that when charts had gone up hundreds of percent. And I was saying, look, I know that you want to buy, but you really you're asking the wrong question. At this point, you should be saying, where should I sell, really? And if you aren't in crypto, then you shouldn't get in it at this point. And it's disappointing to hear that, but it's the right thing to say, because you imagine buying this. This is what the last alt season looked like. There's your October into December, and then you had an extended move up to 5.5 cents, and then you just measure it down, all the way down to the low, 64% pullback. And I'm saying, don't get used to high prices. Don't get used to high prices. It's like a good catchphrase to think about. Don't get used to high prices. I'm not saying that these are high. I've got much higher targets on this over the next year. Possibly a new all-time high, but more likely in the teens. So, just don't get used to high prices. Right now, for what it's worth, it's high prices. Looking at the momentum down here, we've got bearish divergence and hidden bearish divergence. On the 4 hourly, that's reset quite significantly, but we are teasing the idea of breaking down below a Bollinger Band. If you've watched my Bollinger Band tutorials, you'll know that obviously you lose the band, then you're more likely to stay below the band. That's actually what Bitcoin's done today on the 4 hourly there. Bitcoin lost the band and rejected from it and has come down. So you might be looking for that to happen here. And again, golden cross retest of the 200 exponentials down here at 2.86 cents and trending up. So over the next week, we will have a golden cross retest possibility of around 3 cents. So I am looking for a good portion of this to be shaved off to give you a comfortable entry. I'm not suggesting at all that entry points should be jumped on just because you can see green candles every day. I mean, the other day it did like 40% in a day, and just in one single day over the weekend. I mean, those sort of moves, they're unusual. And can you imagine what it would be like if that were to happen in the reverse of that? It would be significant. But this is crypto, and that's the sort of thing we would see if you pulled back all the way down from here to here. It's a 35% move down. So that's what I'd be looking for, a safer entry point. Again, safe not being the right word. No one should use that word in crypto. There's no such thing as safe in crypto. But a safer entry point will be from much lower, and there's a lot of support, and they're sitting down around that 3 cent zone. So that's where I'd go for a little bit of that. I can't wait to sell my EOS bag from the last cycle. Yes, it was a tricky one. Now that, to be honest, this is a good learning experience. I'll show you EOS. This is a good learning experience because also, just because you've got a good setup doesn't mean that you will yield a good return. Because I was bullish on EOS in the last cycle, massively bullish, and quite rightly so, right? So we had this giant descending triangle, bang, 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 and then we broke out from it, and we retested it, and I said, look, it's only a matter of time, and beyond that, you can see that we've reclaimed the 20 moving average as well, for the most part. And then we had our first initial rally up from that 20 moving average, and again, this is all technical analysis. This is not me loving EOS or anything like that. So the breakout, we'll just measure it from here when it finally reclaimed it. The first move up was 100%. So, okay, lovely. Looks like I was right. I was right in my analysis. Excellent entry point, roughly around $3. Excellent. Excellent. Can't go wrong. This is working out exactly as expected. Loving it. Then you have the huge pullback. Again, these are weekly candles. So huge pullback. Oh my God, we're down 43%. This is what Altseasons look like. Big moves up, big moves down. But in amongst all of that, we got a conversion baseline cross above the cloud. It's basically a trend signal on a weekly. So I was like, everyone on the Telegram, I remember saying, oh, is EOS dead? I said, well, actually, in this instance, I will say it's probably not dead, to be honest. Because we've got a trend signal now, and we're above all moving averages on the weekly, and we've broken out of this multi-year long consolidation. Actually, I'd say it's far from dead. I think it's an entry point at this point. But you can imagine how people will feel when they see a weekly candle like this. Oh my God! I'm like, okay, yeah, but what does the chart say? Yeah, it's gone down a lot in a week, but what does the chart say? It says support and trend. And there you go. It took a little while, crept up, and then basically, rallied up, all the way into the teens. Excellent. Unfortunately, though, for EOS, it peaked here, 10th of May, where every single other altcoin peaked. The market peaked. So it was massively bullish, and it could have gone higher. Easily could have gone to new all-time highs, $20, $40. You think it's crazy, but it could have done. It was on its way, but the market denied it. And you've got to learn from that. Think, all right, fine. Should have always kept my eye on the overall market, because EOS isn't traded in a vacuum. If it was, it would have gone higher, but it's not, and then it never ever recovered. So I'm not in it, and EOS is one of those coins that does give you setups and it does yield returns, but you can't marry these bags, or I can't, at least anyway. After that, because I was like, whoa, because just for just to show. I mean, from that wick down to that wick, which is all in a single week, it was down 75, close to 76% in a week. Big problem there. So yeah, this is basically the point I'm trying to make now, which is that, look, I'm not saying we're going to do a 75% crashing, demolishing pullback, but what I am saying is, don't get used to the high prices. and you measure out Vchain like we just did, and then you measure out, what a pullback down to 3 cent, which is still a higher high, is 35% pullback. So anyway, you get that point, right? You see what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting anything other than just be cautious at higher prices, really. And EOS is a good learning experience for all of us. Your altcoin might be pointing in the right direction with everything going for it, but because it's connected intricately to the rest of the market, the Bitcoin will deny it, and so will the rest of the market. So we'll think about significant pullbacks on Bitcoin as entry points for altcoins. I think that's the best way to look at it, right? So, what else have we got then? Let's have a look. So we've done EOS. What's your Bitcoin targets this bull run? That's a question I can't really answer. I mean, that's just guessing. It's just a guess. Everybody has their own best guess. You can't really guess it, so I won't bother trying. When people give price targets to anything, recognise this. It's only clickbait, all right? That's all it is. It's just clickbait. And someone tells you that this is going to hit this at this date. Then no one knows that. It's just clickbait. No one could say that. And if they did, and if they're able to say that and they're achieving those sort of results, they're not going to be doing YouTube channels. They'll be sitting on a yacht somewhere because they've obviously got a crystal ball. No one has a crystal ball. So no one can guess the peak of a bull market. It's fun to say some stuff, but it's just a guess. So you might as well answer it yourself, because you'll be no better off. Both of us in the same position. Neither of us know where it's going to be. There's so many factors that could go into why it could be this price versus that price. And the technical analysis doesn't really show a great deal that far forward. Right, so I'm not going to be on this stream for long because, again, I don't want to devalue the Patreon, which is unfair on those guys. We're doing one of those tomorrow, so I'll just run through a couple of these questions, then I'll leave it at that. I just thought I'd make this update now, really, just to put something to you all, really, which is that as bullish as things appear on face value, it would be much better to wait for a little lower for those who aren't exposed to the market. And for those of us who are exposed to the market from those lower zones, then we can just sit back and enjoy the ride, because we shouldn't really be seeing those prices again. You have basically bought the lows, in my opinion. If you bought, over the summer, well, at the end of the summer, like I said, then effectively we've bought the lows, and we really shouldn't be seeing any of those again. Right. What else we got? Shib. We'll just do one question per person. That's fair. Have a look at Shib. Shib's an interesting one. I made a whole video on Shib only about a week ago, really, which is saying that because it's on the Ethereum blockchain, I have a feeling that it's going to follow Ethereum, and it has done that actually in the past. And you'll have to watch that video. It's way better than anything I'm going to show now. But I mean, what we can see on Ethereum, on Shib, based on the weekly, was they had this huge run up, which we got, by the way. I nailed that one. Reclaims the 20 moving average, retested it, and then shot up. Big move there. We got that one and nailed it. Then a huge crushing consolidation, and then a change of behavior finally when it broke out from here. Kept above almost all moving averages at all times, but more importantly the 20 moving average, where it got support, and then launched from here. So I think it's reasonable to assume that, based on what it looks like, that a pullback is probably better than just shooting straight back up again. But I'm in on this one, layered into it from lower areas, so I'm happy to hold mine. And I believe Shib is going to make a new all-time high this cycle within the next 12 months, about 10 months or so. So that's good. But in the short term, it's waiting for a move. It could have moved, but it hasn't. It's unlikely to do anything like this time round, although it's not impossible. But based on the weekly, it's been primed for a move. It's just lame that this is all it got, really, because it should have gone higher than that. And again, you can't really complain, 83%, 83% up, having a nice time, love it. But if we do come crashing down, based on this weekly, the first major support is down here at 2154. Then you've got 1948, and then obviously you've got 1766, which would be a definite must-have, really. That would be epic to buy that, because that's primed for a move around there, so 17-ish area. Take us over to a daily. What's he got going on the daily? It's messy. It's real messy. It's not really... I mean, it's above moving averages. It's ready to go if it wants to, but it's still vulnerable to a larger pullback. The only reason I'm saying it's vulnerable is because it's gone up. People don't think it's gone up because it went up before most other things, but it did. It went up another 80%, you know. So it went up 80%, and then now everyone's sidetracked with XRP. But in the short term, you come down 2.4, and you got 2.1, and then again all the way down here 1.841. So there's plenty of opportunity on the way down to buy it, and my expectation is a new all-time high anyway. So, and I mean an actual new all-time high. So you can't go wrong with that. Even if you were to blindly buy now and sail through the volatility, you should still be up around 240%, yeah, by this time next year. But that's not what you want to hear, is it? Everyone wants to hear, I want to be up 10 million%. So this is why I say you can't get used to high prices, because yes, you will probably make money if you hold through the downs and the ups. But the best time to make money is to buy when nobody wants it. And you know, the best time to have bought that was, you know, around here. This is it. This was the time when nobody wanted it. And should I say, nobody watched my YouTube channel. So you might as well subscribe to me now, because I call these things before they happen. I'm not very good at clickbait, and actually, for the most part, you know, I'm just too realistic, and that disappoints most people, I think. And they tune in and go, what's he talking about? 200%, that's rubbish. The other YouTuber says I'll be a millionaire by lunchtime. So obviously that doesn't bode well on the internet. It's a business in itself, isn't it? People tune into the internet, listening to some bloke talk, and they're obviously going to click on the most bullish prediction, regardless if it's grounded in reality. It's not. It won't be. Can't be. You can't really say you're going to be, you know, this is going to do this by this. It's just not possible. So subscribe to me, and I can at least dose you with the reality of the markets. Really, that's where you're going to make money. It might be more conservative money, but it's definitely money. You know, it's definitely profits. I mean, even just these last few weeks, it took months of planning, but, you know, quite quickly up 200% or so, really, just on spot. Never mind the futures trades that we've been doing. Anyway. Yeah, so you won't be a millionaire by lunchtime, Chris. Right, I'm getting a little lost, so I'm just going to run through a couple more. What else have we got? So we've done that. Have a look at Theta. Yeah, let's go look at that. And then I'll leave the rest for the Patreons, really. I'll do a couple more, then that's it. Because otherwise it's a bit muggy, really. Because this is what I do for the Patreon channel. And, you know, I'm doing that tomorrow. And I don't want to devalue that. I just wanted to get my thoughts out about this rotation, really. I couldn't be bothered to make a video. I thought I'd just stream it. Right, so Theta, again, just like all the others, has run up quite high. Let's just measure it for fun. What's it done? It's done 100%. That's nice. Okay, so we've got an incoming golden cross. This one just about, ever so slightly, got a trend signal. It's really quite close. There is a trend signal in the itchy cloud here. So the incoming golden cross. Now, this is going to sound like really disappointing to most people, but golden crosses have a habit of being retested, right? So this is why I'm trying to say to everybody, just be cautious and careful about buying. Don't get used to high prices. Just because you think you're missing out, this is your emotions talking to you, really. It's not the technicals talking to you. The technicals are saying, oh, it's high, and you know we've broken out, but we've not confirmed a trend particularly well here. So I'm just trying to put it to you here that there is a chance that this comes down 23% over the next week or two. To give you that really good entry point of around $1.45, which would be roughly where the golden crosses kick in. We've got a trend signal, that's fine. The trend signal's safe as long as this Chiku span doesn't close inside the price action, which would bring it down to 121, and then even lower over the end of the week. And the pump needs to really continue because this is 26 periods behind. So we've got 24 days to reach beyond this level, otherwise the trend is over anyway. So you might as well wait for a lower price, I reckon, on this, and you could start to scale in as early as a 21 exponential moving average, which is currently 154. But personally, you know, if you're looking for a decent entry and you've got the ability to wait, and also, you know, you've got the emotional grounding to recognize if you've missed out on something, because again, you know, missing trades is part of life. You know, it's better than sitting in a failed trade, right? It's better than being underwater. Oh no, I've only got exactly the same amount of money as I started with, versus the other version of you, which is like, oh no, I'm down 24%. Oh, who's better off, the person who missed the trade or the person who traded incorrectly? You know the answer. So again, like all the alts, I would be looking for these areas to pull back into, and that's more or less how I would look at most of these charts, really. There's random ones. I'll tell you what, VRA, we'll do VRA and then one more after that. I'm not being harsh here, it's just that because I do the Patreon, I don't want to take the piss really out of the patrons. So this is a good, this one is very close to my heart actually, because every once in a while, usually once every 4 or 5 years, I catch the absolute low, right? And on this instance, I caught the low. We had this box in here, and then we had this. This has been our accumulation range for, when did we get inside here? All the way back in June. So this one's been accumulating for longer than most. Top of the range 0.4 cents, bottom of the range 0.2 cents, and we've been in here for ages. And every other week, or usually most weeks, sometimes twice a week, we look at this on the Patreon, and it's the same question: what should I do with VRA? So, well, there is an accumulation range within a 100% range. So you can put limit orders in. I got lucky and got my limit order filled, 0.2% basically. And then watched it go up and watched it go down. I said, look, just like any good accumulation range, when it breaks out, it should break out significantly. And from my entry point, again, this is me just loving my own life, up 172%. I should have put in more. I only put in a small amount, really, in comparison to my other portfolio holds. So if we're looking at this, we've got this long trend line of support as well. Are we on a log scale? No, we're on a regular scale. So we got bang, bang, bang. So if we were to extend this, this might show us already the extent of the resistance. So it's around about 0.6%. So it's done extremely well, unbelievably well, but pushed to resistance. So what are we going to do about that? Most likely to get pulled back. Now, if we break out from here, then fine, it's one of those charts that you've missed. If you're in it, I would say 0.76 is next, which corresponds to these basically highs, roughly around 0.7, 0.76. And my top target really is only around 2 cents on this. I don't see how it can do this again, but you know, stranger things have happened. If you're looking for pullbacks on this one, you back to the accumulation zone would be where you'd go, 0.4 cents. And you know, I'm not suggesting by any means that you can make it all the way back down here, but you can, because we did the first alt season all the way back over here and then went to effectively a new low. So anything's possible. I certainly wouldn't want to buy it here, no way. But the first place to buy it from, if you do want to buy it, and again, it's already broken out, it's close to 200% from its lows now, so why would you want to do that? If you are going to buy it, you'd have to wait for the top of the accumulation zone, like 0.4%. Right, and the last one then, what else have we got? Do you have any other Ichimoku cloud settings? No, just leave it. Itchy cloud is the itchy cloud. You leave the itchy cloud to do its thing. There's no reason why I hear this all the time. There's a new setting that you can put onto the Ichimoku cloud, which is just for crypto. I'm like, really? You realise the Ichimoku cloud took like 30 years to develop? You know, the bloke who invented it took so long to get it right. What makes you think that some, 21-year-old with a Reddit account has made it any better? It's possible, but I find it highly unlikely. It's a great indicator if you use it properly. Right, and the last one then. I'm watching from South Africa. Nice. Right, the last one then. Alright, we'll do XRP. I saw it in there. We'll do XRP, and then that's it. I'll leave it there. And if you want to join the Patreon, links in the description. I think the links are in the description below, at least, anyway. Right, so here we go. So we've got multiple layers, haven't we, really? Exceeding all expectations. Unbelievable. Unbelievable chart. Absolute powerhouse of a beast. But we do have, pretty decent bearish divergence on the daily money flow index and the RSI. It can easily go higher, obviously. So look, this is not on borrowed time, but it's quite peaky. This is just the Binance chart. So this is the highest the money flow index has been since that peak in December 2020, and then we went into the bearish divergence, which led to the top. But overall, you've probably seen it before. It's the Bitstamp analysis I've got. Take off all this noise, because it's important to not lose track of what it is that we're looking at sometimes, and I know that it's easy to do this, really. It's easy to go, oh, I need to sell because the daily's hot. Well, where was your entry point? We've worked out roughly that 51.5 cent zone, roughly speaking, was the accumulation zone. Lots of stuff going through there for multiple years. And I was saying, look, when we break out of here, when we finally break out, it's gonna be significant. And we're starting to see that launch all the way up to what, $400 or wherever it's going to go. I'm not saying it's going to go that high, but you see what I mean. This is the previous bull market and then bear market. Bang, all the way up to a peak, and then consolidated, accumulated around 51.5 cents for 5 years, and that's where we lived. And now we've broken out not just of the apex. We broke out the apex here and then rallied up like 10,000%. This is the second time it's ever done it. And the time to have bought was around the 50 cent zone, right? Not only that, is that obviously we've got other ways to look at this, which was the weekly 200 simple and exponential. So we've been consolidating around this for a while now, and every time we came to it, and I got so many questions week after week, almost day after day. What's RP doing? What's XRP doing? What's XRP doing? I said, look, we're bullish above 50 cents, and then as the 200 exponential, obviously because we got a golden cross all the way back in here, September last year. It says, look, so long as you're above here, things remain bullish. 50 cents. Then over a period of a year, it went up to roughly around 52 cents. So again, the magical number, 51, 52 cents, 51.5 cents. So you're bullish above 51.5 cents, really. And all expectations on this one are now becoming very clear. Everybody wants XRP. Then people are now buying XLM because that's how it works. My expectation is that it's going to keep going up anyway. Beyond anything people could imagine, because this is only the second time it's broken out on something like this. It's been accumulating for 6 years basically, at that 51.5 cent zone. If you were to have bought 50 cents or lower, you should just sit back and enjoy this ride, because this is going to go to a new all-time high over the next 10 months, and then from there could double and then double and then double again. There's price targets you could have, but we're talking $3.50 to begin with, $5, $10, $15. Who knows? Nobody knows. But all I can tell you is that it's changed its behavior for the first time in 6 years. And with that, we should just be sitting back and enjoying the ride, because it's a good ride. It's an amazing ride, right? XRP is going to make everybody that deserves it racking loads of money. And if there's one coin that I have more of than anything, it's XRP. Not because, I've been accumulating it on purpose. It's just that I've been trading it using perpetual futures for years. And every time I made a $10,000 XRP, trade or whatever, anything over 10,000 XRPs in my account, I would then throw into a cold wallet. So I've been doing that for about 5 years now. So I've got a lot of XRP. Let's put it that way. Because I always keep my float at 10,000. So, every now and then when it gets over that, just withdraw the excess and carry on with a 10,000 XRP float. Which at some points is like worth, it's like $4,000 or something like now. It's not that now, and it certainly won't be that this time next year. But just be prepared for the big pullbacks is all I'm saying, because you're going to see them and they will come. Just because we're up massively now doesn't mean we're going to keep going up massively. I think the chances of Bitcoin pulling back more significantly are quite high, and with that we'll pull altcoins back down significantly also. And you want to keep your eyes on those golden crosses as they form. They seem so far away now, but you forget what it's like, because we're all simple animals. We're like chimpanzees really, with just a couple of extra brain cells. You forget so quickly what crypto is like when it's red, and it's dreadful, it's terrible, and you don't want to be stuck in that. So if you're looking for a new entry or an entry at all, then patience is going to be your best tool at this point, and just be prepared and wait and plan your trade. Don't listen to every YouTuber out there who's going to tell you you're missing out, you motherfucker, because you're not. This is a 24-hour market with big highs and big lows. Now, Just because the low hasn't happened today doesn't mean it's not going to come this week or next week or the week after that. It will come. And your entry points will be handed to you. It's like, I always say it's like fishing. Like trading is like fishing. You don't swim around in a bloody river trying to catch a fish. You just drown eventually. You'll never catch one. You sit at the shore with the radio on and some sandwiches, and you just chill out and you wait. Because eventually a fish is going to bite the hook, and that's all you've got to do. You just got to wait for that fish to bite. So I'll just leave it there. And like I say, it wasn't a proper stream. The proper stream will be tomorrow night. If you want to join the Patreon, there's links in the description below. Otherwise, Telegram's free. Join that. I'm around on there sometimes. And yeah, I'll make my video tomorrow. So just be prepared. Wait for those low prices. Wait for those entry points. Establish them yourself. Don't listen to every YouTuber out there. Do your own, do your own analysis. Just because somebody's on the internet doesn't make them an expert. It just makes them somebody with an internet connection. That's all it does. Even me, just a normal man. I make my living from trading, but it's quite a modest life I live. I'm not like making hundreds of millions or whatever. I'm not putting myself out there driving Lambos or whatever. I feed my family by trading. It's just a living to me. But some people out there will try and sell you a unrealistic dream that will end up hurting you, I reckon. So just do your own analysis and don't listen to the most bullish prospects on the internet. Learn to do a bit of trading yourself. Understand what it is that is going on those charts. So you're not, like I say, so you're not swimming around in the water trying to wrestle a fish. Because that is kind of what it's like until you've learned how to do it, or even got a small grasp on what's going on. Right, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the Patreon if you want to click on that link. Otherwise, take it easy.